Hey everyone, and thank you for clicking on my video. This is my first upload to YouTube, so please be nice. I'm filming all of this off of my cell phone with some crazy setups. But this time around, I'm going to be going with the white with gray accents Corsair 4000D Airflow. This is a mid-tower ATX case that I'm going to be pairing with the Tough Gaming X570 Pro motherboard. This comes with PCIe 4 dual M.2 as well as the Wi-Fi 6 antenna, which is a pretty substantial upgrade from the last generation. I'm going to be putting an AMD Ryzen 9 3900X processor into the motherboard. This has 12 CPU cores, 24 threads, and a base clock at 3.8 gigahertz, but I've seen this go well above 5 gigahertz with the proper liquid cooling. For the memory, we've gone with the Patriot Viper Steel RGB. I've gone with the 16 gigabyte kit at 3600 megahertz, which I think is going to pair really nicely with the motherboard and CPU. For our AIO, I've gone with the Cooler Master Liquid ML240 Illusion. We're going with the white edition because we're using the white Corsair 4000D case. And for our storage, we've chosen the XPG GameX 1 terabyte. I actually was searching through Newegg and Amazon, and I found this on Newegg for 40% off, which was crazy. And this stick has a pretty insane read and write speed. It has 3,500 megabytes per second read and 3,000 megabytes a second for your write. For the price point, especially with this build, it worked in very well. Um, you could go with like a Samsung Evo or anything else, obviously, for your storage. And for all the cooling and the fans on the inside of the chassis and the case, I've gone with the Cooler Master MF 120 Halo so that it all pairs nicely together with the Master Liquid ML240 as it comes with two MF 120 Halos. What's really nice about these fans is that you have the RGB lighting on the chassis of the fan. So you're getting that RGB lighting on the chassis as well as from the fans. And it looks really good actually. I've looked at quite a few other RGB fans, and this might be my new favorite fan. I will be doing a step-by-step guide on the build or this PC, but I won't be filming all of the screwing in of the parts and getting everything connected. I'll give you guys some uploads. So thank you. If you found this video helpful at all, please make sure that you hit the like button or subscribe. Well, I got the motherboard out of the sleeve. Seems like a pretty solid board. It's one of Newegg's top sellers right now. I think with having the Wi-Fi 6, it's got two PCIe, one M.2, second one down here with a heatsink, four DIMM slots. I believe it's up to 128 that you're able to upgrade to. where we're going to be placing the CPU. And it looks like got enough ports for pretty much everything here. It comes with a Type-C. Obviously the antennas for the Wi-Fi 6. And when you want to install the CPU, you see the little arrow at the top. You just want to make sure that you've got that lined up with your CPU with that gold arrow there. And then you just want to take the CPU over to the motherboard here, and then just drop it in. Let it just kind of slide into place. You don't really want to push down on it too much, and then you just take the bar here, clamp it down, and then you're good to start putting in your RAM and your M.2. So I got everything kind of unpackaged here now. We're going with the 16 gigabytes of 3600 megahertz. No, I said gigahertz last time. It's the Viper Steel. Pretty good price on Newegg. And all you want to do to install the RAM is just make sure you're using every second slot. And then of course, when you're looking at the RAM, you see where there's that little cutout there? You want to make sure you're lining that up with how you're placing it into the motherboard. And then once you get that into place, you just want to push down on it. So you hear it click. And then do the same thing with the second stick here, obviously. It's being a little stubborn. It's hard to do this with one hand. There we go. Snap. There we go. So now we have the RAM installed. Then you want to take your M.2 and line it up with the port to see where the screw should be going in, and that'll be going into this one. So let me get that set up. Okay, sorry about that. Have the M.2 installed now. Basically what you want to do is take the little post that comes with the motherboard and you screw it into the hole on the board first, and then you screw this tiny thing into that post to secure the M.2 into place. And with that all installed, I think I'm good to throw the I/O shield onto the case and then put the motherboard into the case. Okay, I've got things cleaned up a little bit better here. So this is the Corsair 4000D. You've got some screws here for the motherboard. There's 18 of these smaller screws included for installing the motherboard, and another bag of 20 for installing your fans. They're bigger than the other bag to save you guys any troubles. Then you just want to make sure that you're installing the I/O shield here. Just make sure you line that up and clip it in before you install the motherboard. It makes it a little bit easier. You might not have to end up taking the motherboard out. So you want to line the motherboard up with this main peg right there. It's sticking out further than the rest. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So make sure you will guide it into the center post, as well as lining it up with your I/O shield once you have that installed, and then secure in the rest of the screws. I just finished installing the motherboard. I've decided to remove the fans on the back and front of the case just to make a little bit more room. I've also installed the I/O shield here on the back. So now that all of this is in place, we can look at installing our water cooler. What I found makes the installation a little bit easier, though, is to plug in your power cables from your power supply for your CPU. If you're using the same build that I am, you'll get 2 cables here that are labeled CPU. Just make sure you're plugging in the side that says CPU into your motherboard. You get 2 8-pin connections here. One of them has the dual clip on that, so you can install it over here on the 4-pin side. I'm going to go ahead and put that in now, and I'll come right back. Okay, I've gone ahead and plugged in the power supply cables, and now we should be good to install our water cooler. I haven't worked with this one specifically before. They're all pretty close to the same. Some of them just have a few extra connections here and there, depending on the manufacturer. Looks like, of course, you have your 2 Halo fans included, all your brackets, and looks like wires. Includes RGB controller, as well as obviously your pump and radiator. I'm gonna take some time here and read through the manual to make sure I get everything correct, and I'll get this set up. Alright, I've had a chance to go through the manual and take everything out that we'll need. If you're going with the AMD, these are the brackets that you'll need to install for the pump there. They basically have a little notch on them that you slide over and in, and then you secure these from the base with these 4 screws that are provided. There's obviously an Intel bracket as well that you can install. The longer screws we're going to be using to attach our fans to the radiator. It's important to keep in mind your position, or how you're going to be putting the radiator in to your unit, just so you can decide on which way you're going to be running the fan cables for cable management. I'm going to be installing mine at the top with the tubes on the left hand side, just to keep everything kind of out of the way of the RAM. You can obviously do that in reverse and have the tubes coming down on the right hand side and having the pump run over to the CPU. The installation of the AIO and the fans is pretty long installation on its own, and would probably require its own video, so I'll link a couple in the description section to get you guys going on how to set this up. I'm going to get working on this here, and I'll come back when I've got everything connected. Okay, so I've got everything put together now. I've installed the fan on the back and the AIO. What you're going to want to do is at the top of your motherboard, there are two plugins there. You're going to want to plug your fan header into the one on the left because that's for your fan. The other plug is called your CPU option, which is basically there for your pump to plug into. There is another spot here that you can plug into, but I just felt for cable management it looked a lot nicer just to run it up and out the back. So for the fan that I've installed on the rear, I've just plugged that into the bottom fan header here. And what I'm going to be doing to install the rest of her fans, so that everything's all connected and running together, is going to be basically daisy chaining the RGB cable here. So you'll get a cable that comes off of the rear fan. You'll get your RGB cables that come off of the AIO. And how these work is they come with a male and a female connection. So you basically connect your fan into your fans for your AIO, and then you connect that to the fan at the front, and then you connect that to the next one, and then the next one, and then you'll basically come down to the one remaining cable that's left over, with the one side that terminates. It has the guard on the end there, and you plug this into the port on your motherboard. It's up here near the top of the board. It's got the 3 pins, and that is your Gen 2 addressable header, and that should control all of your RGB through your software for your motherboard. So I'm gonna get to work on installing the 3 fans on the front. This motherboard does have, it's got 3 fan headers as well as the CPU fan. So I'm taking up 1 fan header for the rear. I'm using the 2 fans for the AIO that's plugged into the CPU fan, and then the 3 on the front are going to be all connected together using this splitter, and then you basically take the one cable off of the splitter and plug it into an available fan header to give power to those guys. So I'll get this set up here, and we'll take a look afterwards. Okay, so I installed all the fans now. I attached the splitter to the 3 fans and ran that off onto this fan header at the bottom here. And I plugged our last RGB cable into the 2nd gen header here on the motherboard, so that all of our RGB lighting should be controlled by the software with the motherboard, like your pump, the fans, your RAM. Just to kind of show you the back here, I started working on trying to hide some cables away. Yeah, this is kind of the RGB, how it all hooked up. I got it tucked in behind here. It's just running to our header around the back. I've got the cables here to hide away for the power on the fans that I need to stick away, but we still have a bunch more cables to plug in here. I'm gonna have to grab our graphics card and power supply. Okay, so I pulled the power supply out. If you're doing the exact same build, you're only going to need the 24 pin connector and your PCIe connector here, as well as the one cable everybody knows, the one you plug into the wall. If you're running another drive, you might need to plug in your SATA cable, or you would need to plug in a SATA cable for that. So I've got the cables kind of pulled aside here at the moment. This is all of our wiring for our RGB. I have the case cables here pulled out, and the ones that we're going to plug in for the CPU. I was kind of thinking about it. I think it'll be easier to actually install the case plugins first here, and then install the power supply afterwards. So I'm gonna work on getting those installed. You have your USB 3.0, the 3.1 Type-C, your HD audio, and all the other power LEDs and reset that you're gonna want for the front of the case here. I'll get those set up and be right back. Okay, so I pulled the cables to the front, or passed them through, and plugged in the HD audio. Down the board, we go to the USB 3.0. Then we move along to pin connectors here. So basically the top two, you're going to want to plug in your positive and then your negative. So post 1 for the positive, post 2 for the negative. And then below that, you'll, on the lower third and fourth post, you're going to plug in your reset for the case. And then the last one here, power, is going to go right above your reset pins here. Okay. So that's almost everything, except we need to plug in our USB-C connector. It only goes in one way here, so I'll just plug that in. And that's all of the case cables. So now I'll work on tidying some of those up and getting them out of the way, and then we're going to get the power supply into place and plugged in. And don't forget, comes with the 4 screws there, so when you're ready to make it permanent, you can screw it into place. I'll get working on clipping some of these in and come back to you. Alright, so I installed the power supply. I plugged in the 24-pin connector into the power supply, the PCIe that we're going to need for our graphics card, along with the 2 cables we ran off of the back of the motherboard here for the CPU. Plugged all those into the power supply. Screwed that in. Just remember when you're installing the power supply that there is the filter on the bottom, so that you, when you install it, you want to essentially install it fan down so that you're getting air sucking in and then coming back out. You might just need to take your screen out and clean it out every now and then. So now that we've got our 24-pin connector plugged in, we're good to install the graphics card. So you're going to need to remove, depending on the size of your card, mind you, 2 of these slots here, so that we're able to plug in right there. I'm gonna remove those and plug the graphics card in, and I'll be back to plug the PCIes in. Okay, you guys, I have gotten the graphics card installed now. I just went ahead and plugged in the PCIe ports. I'm filming this with my cell phone, and it would be kind of hard to do with the one hand here. So this is everything put together. I'll come around to the back to show you what that looks like here. So I probably tidy up the cable management a bit more, but overall I'd say it didn't turn out too bad. Pretty good. And we're finally done. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug in the power cable here. Sorry. I'll put this in here, and I'm gonna flip the power on, and I'm gonna try turning this on here for the first time. Let's go. Drum roll. Awesome. Wow, that looks really sharp. I don't know if I'm going to keep the black cables in here or not. I have a couple of PCIe and 24-pin connectors with the white sleeves on them, but I don't know. I don't think that looks too bad. It doesn't draw your eye away from things too much, I find. Yeah, the Halo fans look really nice with that rim around the outside. Our graphics card, and it's quiet. Like I'm right up to the fans here, and it's like whisper quiet, especially once I've got the tempered glass on the outside here. Well, that was the build for this. Gonna plug this into a monitor here, and I'll go into the BIOS and probably tweak a couple of things, and then get Windows loaded. Hey everyone, thank you for watching my video. If you found my video helpful at all, if you could please leave a like, or subscribe to my channel. That would all help for the YouTube algorithms. And I'm going to work on benchmarking this PC. I have the paid copy for 3D Mark, so I'll get that pulled up and we'll benchmark this PC and see how it performs. Okay, I've already opened 3D Mark here. I'm going to be running the Time Spy benchmark and go over the details with you after this runs its course. We'll be right back. Okay, you guys, 3D Mark has run the Time Spy benchmark here. What's nice with this tool is you can actually go and click down on which game you want to see and change the resolution. Fortnite saying 1440 would be over 165 FPS. Obviously this is gonna jump around and change when you're playing in game. Yeah, but that's kind of a nice feature that it has there. Battlefield 5 Ultra, it's saying over 170 FPS. It breaks down your GPU, your CPU, and it's kind of nice. It has this feature here where you can compare your results online. It uploads kind of your score to their server and compares it against other people that have uploaded their benchmarks. So let's just take a look there and see how this turned out. Wow, better than 99% of all other results. That's amazing. I took hours picking out the parts that I was going to use for this build, so that's absolutely amazing to see that. Let's see who's just eking us out here. Somebody that's running two 2080 Ti's that are SLI. Yeah, so that is it for this video. Again, if you could leave a like or any comments in this comment section for me on anything I could do to improve on future videos, it's all appreciated. And thanks again for watching.